In the last 9 months, I helped an online coaching business make over £750,000. And none of it was done with cold outreach, pushy sales tactics, desperately getting people on the door and churning them on these 12-month payment plans, or relying on thousands in ad spend. In fact, we did most of this all with organic traffic. We had customers pay us mostly 5 figures in full on day one, and they get tremendous life changing results and they're thrilled that they joined our program. So, my goal in this video is to very simply show you what I know to be currently working in the high ticket industry, what isn't, and hopefully you can go away, take some of this away, and get some results in your own business right now. Now, before we get into it, just so you can see that I genuinely have done this, here is some quick proof to show. Here's a list of a load of highly qualified appointments that I personally booked for myself for this business. And here is a list of just a handful of our incoming Slack payments as well. You can see we've got some £8,000 paid in fulls, some £4,000, which is kind of split pays. And most recently as well, we put the price up to £9,000 and we're still collecting paid in fulls for the program. So I know it's possible. So I'm going to very simply show you what I believe to be working and what isn't. Now, when I'm talking to coaches in the high tech industry currently, one of the biggest things that I see is that coaches are currently stuck in the old way of marketing and selling their program. Now, what this is, and this is a tactic that used to work very well, I guess, sort of pre 2021, 2020, when opportunities were vastly more available. And that was simply running cold Facebook ads, running straight to a webinar or VSL. You put your calendar straight on that page, people booked in, they took a sales call, and they then paid you in full straight away, through a cold ad system. Now, one of the reasons why this used to work previously is that obviously ad costs were very cheap compared to what they are now. So you're getting a very low cost per lead. So your metrics or conversion metrics didn't even have to be that good to make it a profitable system. Simply because leads were so cheap, you could have a pretty average to poor show up rate and close rate, and you could still be making a profit on all your ad spend. And also, it was very low competition, i.e., whatever offer you were running, there was way less competition in the market to market and sell the offer. So you were typically a market of one or just a small handful. And also, it's such a new marketplace, well, like the whole high ticket space, the whole of everything we talk about here. It was a much newer market. People were more open to taking opportunities. It was the first time they'd really experienced something like this. And so it's much easier to try and sell someone in those times. However, the problems with this kind of funnel right now is that obviously there's a huge amount of marketing fatigue, number one. I pretty much all your leads and all your buyers at this point, they've been through some kind of marketing funnel before. They've clicked on an ad, they've watched a VSL, they've booked a call with someone in the past, perhaps. They might have even been burnt on a course in the past. And they're kind of tired of seeing these things, right? Right. Marketing has a huge amount of fatigue on people. I just know for myself, there are people who have been in the game way longer than I have. I'm still fairly new to the game in comparison. But because I work in this stuff every single day, marketing and marketing tactics, sales tactics get really fatiguing on your brain. You're like, oh, I know exactly what's going on here. I know I'm being pulled through this funnel. I know what's going on. You become so aware of it, right? That there's a huge amount of fatigue. And the same goes for your leads, your audience also. Secondly, there's a huge skepticism of programs now in the market because of what happened in the past, right? Because of all the things that were allowed to happen in the past. There was such a big handful of bad programs, and people have bad experiences with this. The people don't really have the trust that they did before they got burnt. So there's very little trust. And also the problem with this kind of funnel now is that a VSL, a 10-minute, 15-minute VSL, is way too short to try and build any trust with someone who's just gone through a cold ad. They don't even know you, right? They've never even seen your name before. They don't know why they should trust you. And that 10, 15 minutes just isn't enough time in this age to really build trust in order for someone to pay you thousands of pounds up front. So yeah, that are the problems with these funnels. And even now on the back end, right, even if you can get someone to come through your ad, come through your webinar, actually book a call with you, the close rates and the show rates are now so poor. On a cold ad funnel, you might be looking at 50 to 60% show rate. And on that, you might be having a 15, at best 20% close rate, depending on what the offer is. So those metrics, conversion metrics, are so poor, it doesn't even make it worth your time. You've got a cold audience. They're showing up, asking all the wrong kinds of questions that you don't want them to be. They're way too early in the sales cycle, which basically just means you're wasting your whole marketing budget. You're putting through all these people in your funnel who ultimately don't really convert into anything. And actually, worst of all, what this means as well is that even if you've got a half decent sales team, is what they're doing is actually emotionally priming these people to go and buy somewhere else, right? You've brought them through your funnel, you've put the money in to spend on advertising and marketing to get their attention, get them warmed up to the idea of a potential new mechanism to them or some kind of new solution to their problem. You spent thousands on your VSL, your webinar. You brought them through. Um, use the time on your sales team's calendar, but they won't get ready to buy yet. But what they've actually been happening is they've been primed to now look for a solution, and now they're in that solution hunting mode because they're aware of what exists. But they were too scared to make the purchase with you at the time. There wasn't enough trust built. So what happens is they go somewhere else and they buy from one of your competitors. This is the worst thing that can happen. I've personally experienced this before. And yeah, basically what this means is you're throwing your time and money straight in the bin if you're running this kind of funnel in 2025. And so as a funnel for coaches in 2025, it's something I just don't recommend at all. I've seen it in multiple high ticket businesses, and I know for a fact that it just doesn't convert. So with that said, let's actually take a look at what I know is currently working for seven-figure coaches in the industry today. So first of all is going to be organic media. Now, it's no secret at all that organic media is one of the most effective ways to build an audience, nurture them, and also sell to them also. And why is that? Well, if you think back to the old days of kind of running longer form VSLs and webinars, and just think about what that was, effectively running like 15, 20, even sometimes even 30-minute videos on your YouTube channel is effectively like running a webinar, but breaking it down into bite-sized chunks that someone can consume in a very convenient manner for them and in a way that's convenient for them as well. Also, i.e., they don't have to sit down, commit to watching your 3-hour webinar that you can't skip through. Instead, they can just choose the things that you talk about that are relevant specifically to them, watch a few videos on that, and now they've actually consumed the same time horizon as your webinar might have, but they've done it in their own time and at a pace that's convenient for them. So they're way more relaxed in the sales process. It's not like a high pressure conversion event. They're allowing it to happen on their own time. And that's one of the reasons why YouTube content is so effective these days. And basically everyone in the high ticket space is now running a YouTube channel. Number two as well, organic media is so effective to work as like sales assets within the business. So not only can the content go on your channel, help build your audience, get views, but if you can target your videos really, really well to specific headlines and titles, those videos can be taken, given to your appointment setting team, your sales team, and can be used to help educate, nurture, and objection handle the prospects on the back end of the sales process also, and help convert them. And we've done that a number of times in businesses that I've worked in, right? We've actually taken what were just like organic videos on YouTube and helped use it to answer their questions on the sales process on the back end and actually help convert people into a client. So the question we need to be asking ourselves is, how can we get people to consume more of this, right? If we know this is the answer, then surely all we want to do is get this to happen more and get this event to happen again and again and again. There are three really effective ways to do this in 2025, in my opinion. Number one is like follower ads. If you've got an Instagram profile, something that I know works super effectively is taking your best performing reels or posts and just paying to boost those a little bit towards a broader audience, right? And you're going to be drawing in a more likewise audience, right? Who are already going to be warm to potentially your mechanisms and your ideas. They come across it, they now resonate with your content, and they're going to hit your follow, and you can then start to bring them down the path from that point. So follower ads work super well. Same with retargeting ads also. You can call to action someone who's already been a warm follower of yours based on a retargeting ad. That works super effectively if you do want to run some kind of more of a cold ad. It's not really a cold ad, but more of an outbound kind of advertisement. And number three is school communities, right? One of the things we used to do in the business I worked in is we run a school community where we advertised it as having free guides, free tutorials. But essentially what we did is we took our best performing YouTube content, packaged it into little classroom sections to help people through certain things within our business model, help educate them a little bit more. And we basically got them to prime them right. Because also with a school group, although school isn't necessarily the best platform for nurturing for a few reasons, the people actually do join and do watch your content on there. It's all packaged in there nicely for them just to go through and watch kind of in one long sitting over the course of like a couple of days or a week. So it works super nicely, just like really create a community of people who are warm to you and they're watching your content, right? And you, most importantly with school, you can contact them on there, or you can request to have their phone number, email, anything like that, and you can have multiple ways to contact them once you join the program. Unlike YouTube, where things with YouTube is people do watch your content, but you have no direct way to get in contact with them unless they opt in through one of your pages, something like that. So organic media works super, super well. Now, next on this list is going to be what I call quick to action sales funnels. Now, what I mean by this is, in this day and age, people don't have the time, nor do they want to commit the time to going through your lengthy, long sales process, right? Buying something should be as easy as possible for someone. Like, you don't want to be adding unnecessary friction, unnecessary steps someone's got to take for you to qualify them. Just make it as easy as possible, as quick as possible, whilst adding the minimum amount of friction needs to qualify someone. Right, that's what I mean by that. And essentially, what this means is in 2025, in my opinion, things like triage calls, setter calls are completely dead. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your prospect time if you make them do this. There is no reason why you should qualify someone through a triage event or a setting Zoom call. Someone can be so easily set through the setting phone call or the setting DM conversation, qualified that way, or they can just be qualified through your calendar form, i.e., they can book in a call. You can ask a few qualifying questions on there, and you can make the decision whether they're qualified from that stage or not. You don't. I tell you now, I've been through a triage and a setting process myself to try and buy something. It was so bad because it was a 3-stage event, right? Something I actually was potentially looking to buy from someone, an offer. They sent me text messages or to try and set me that occurred over 2 days because their setter was slow and didn't get back to me, in due time. So 2 days to have the setting conversation. The setter then booked me onto a triage call, which I didn't realize was a triage call. I thought it was going to be the closing call. I was be ready to sign up and pay for this. But they sent me on a triage call where they then qualified me on the same things the setter would qualify me on. And then from there, the triager then booked me onto a closing call the day after, to where the closer just asked the same questions that the triager did. And I was like, it was so poor. I literally told the closer, I was like, this sales process has been so bad. I don't even want to buy what the hell it is you're offering now, because if that was so bad, I don't want to know what it's going to be like if I come and work with you in your program. So yeah, that's what my experience was like with setter and triage calls. Also in the water, things like 20-minute long VSLs, too long, people just don't want to sit through that kind of event. We went through that with organic content, right? It's so much more effective to run organic content rather than try and force someone to watch this long video to try and nudge them. Last thing as well, type forms as well. If you run a type form, you're losing out on so many potential leads or so many potential bookings, because with a type form, someone can't see the nature of that questionnaire. Right, they're going through multiple steps in the type form, and for them, they can't see where these questions are leading, and they don't know how many there are. So someone might answer 5 questions of your 7-question process, and they're like, when are these questions going to end? So they get bored of answering your kind of unnecessary qualifying questions, quite frankly. And so they exit the page too early. Whereas if you set that on a Calendly questionnaire, you can see all the questions in one stage. So someone knows when the end of that form is coming up. So it works so much better, in my opinion. And also as well, like if your Calendly isn't integrated into your type form, then there's going to be a huge drop off between someone answering the qualifying questions and actually booking a call as well. And so now you've got to have a setter go in there and pick up all the people who qualified themselves but didn't book. And you're just adding more complexity to the appointment setting process than you need to. All you need to do for qualifying and setting appointments is have your setter ask a few qualifying questions over either on the phone or in the messages and the DMs, or have the qualifying done on your Calendly event, where people can just quickly qualify themselves without even really knowing it through a few questions on your Calendly event. And it should be you should be asking the minimum qualification necessary for someone to be worth speaking to. You don't want to be asking questions like, "Are you ready to get started now? Are you willing to pay us 5 figures if this is a right fit?" Right? These are kind of bad sales questions and bad sales processes, in my opinion. So yeah, you simply need good seller qualification, good Calendly qualification, and that's it. So next up, we have DM appointment setting. Now, DM appointment setting has been around for a while. One of the first ways that high-ticket businesses used to book calls, but still super, super effective in my opinion. Where you set on Instagram, you can have a centralized WhatsApp funnel for people who submit phone numbers, or you can use iMessage. I know that works specifically well in some countries. And that's simply because The quickest way is, in my opinion, is the quickest way to turn someone who's following you, someone who's opted in, into a potential booked call and a buyer. And there's one very simple reason for this, and that's because conversion happens in conversation. I speak to so many high ticket coaches who are scared of pushing away their audience because of sending outbound messages to their followers, or potentially they think they're going to ruin their reputation. But you're missing out on so many opportunities if you aren't having an outbound. It's not an outbound, but someone who's messaging a set who's messaging your followers on your pages. Um, because if you think about it this way, right? A sales call is to transform someone from a prospect to a buyer. So a setter or a setter framework or call is to transform someone from a lead into a booked call. Now, you wouldn't expect someone to come and buy themselves. You wouldn't expect someone just to jump on some page and purchase a $6,000 program themselves out of the blue. So why do you expect that someone might book a call out of the blue on themselves as well? It's the same process, in my opinion. You need someone to make that conversion event happen for them. And so, yeah, I mean, DM appointment setting, you can book easily 10, 20 calls a day, depending on the size of your audience. They're relatively low cost workers as well, compared to the amount of money they're going to make you. And also, they're financially incentivized as well to make you as much money as possible. So it's a win-win situation for everyone, in my opinion. They're going to make you more money. Now, lastly, the last mechanism I want to talk about is really just getting good at the basics. Now, one of the problems with this industry, I think, is that people have got so consumed by trying to run complex funnels, complex conversion events, complex ads, all this kind of stuff. Now, I've spoken to some friends recently who work in high ticket businesses that do million plus a month. We're talking 7 figures plus a month. And I can tell you that these businesses aren't doing anything special, right? They're just really, really good at the basics. They put out fantastic content. They have a great audience they've nurtured. They do fantastic appointment setting. They have fantastic email sequences to book in secondary calls. They have some of the best closers, right? And they have great follow up to all their calls. And the truth is, they're not doing anything differently than you are, right? They're just amazing at the basics, and they're doing it at a bigger scale. They've generated a bigger audience, but they're still doing the same thing, right? They're still doing content, marketing, appointment setting, closing, and follow up. That's all there is to this game. If you can get hyper good at doing these 5 things, you can make an unlimited amount of money with your high ticket coaching business. There is no reason why you can't double to triple your current revenue simply by getting incredibly good at doing these 5 things. And in my opinion, you should be getting good at these things before you add in any more complexity. Because if you have holes and issues in your sales funnel and sales process now, then if you try and scale that with some paid ads or lead magnets, then you're going to have twice the amount of problems when you scale this business, right? The same holes that appear now will appear when you're twice the size, just at twice the scale. And a great quote that I heard from someone who's obviously very well known in the industry, Will Brown, he says, when you scale the good and the bad. And I've experienced that myself to be so true. So yeah, getting good at the basics is super key. Now, that is the end of this video. I hope you got some good value from that. I will say one final thing, which is if you're currently a high ticket coach or consultant or business owner and you want some help getting these systems in place for yourself, then I have a link to show you how we can help you do that with my company, Paragon Consulting. The link is in the description for that. And if you think that's going to be helpful for you, then click through there and I'll show you how we can help you implement these same systems that I implemented with business before to make £750,000 in 9 months. But if not, then no worries. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.